Good morning, Lourdes.
Good morning, Maria.
Welcome back to Coaching Conversations. I'm Maria Sabio. Thank you for joining us.
And I'm Lourdes Laper, reporting live and ready to get you thinking a little deeper today. Because, let's be honest, sometimes our brains are on autopilot. So be sure to watch to the end for some practical practices you can start using right away.
Right. So picture this. You scroll through Instagram and you see someone's perfect vacation, all smiles and sunshine. And you instantly start to compare it to your slightly, chaotic Tuesday. And you think, their life is amazing. Mine's just eh. Does that sound familiar?
Ah, yes, the highlight reel rabbit hole. Yeah, we've all tumbled down it. And it's like everyone's living their best life while you're just trying to figure out something mundane like what's for dinner.
Exactly. Or what you're going to watch on Netflix next, right? Or but we take things at face value, the shiny surface, and we really miss what's really going on underneath. And maybe that that perfect vacation or whatever it is, that vacation could have had a massive travel delay or a huge argument the day before. We just don't see it. We don't know what's going on. It could be a lot of credit card debt. We have no idea what's going on just by going on and looking at the surface. So that's why we want to dive in today, how to really see things, people, and even ourselves beyond that surface level.
Yeah, absolutely. Because, what you see isn't always what you get. It's not the whole story. And it's easy to make assumptions about other people's lives and, smooth sailing while you're constantly finding yourself in some turbulent waters. So today we're giving you the tools to become master detectives of the everyday.
Okay. And I love being a detective, by the way. But so let's talk about the emotional ouch this whole surface level living gives us. That constant comparison game we play, thinking thinking that everyone else's life is better than we even know, right? It leaves us feeling inadequate, frustrated, and honestly, kind of disconnected. And this reminds me and I know this happens to a lot of people, but I remember when I first started dating my partner. On the surface, everything was just so fantastic. It was easy. It was romantic. Those early days. But then you get that first argument, you start navigating through life, and you have those disagreements, you start compromising. It's not so romantic. I remember thinking, this isn't what I had envisioned. This isn't that, that not so much that fairy tale, but not exactly what I envisioned in a relationship. I only had that highlight reel that I was looking at, not the everyday work of building a real relationship. I think many of us do that.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And we're constantly comparing ourselves and our relationships to other people's highlight reels, right?
Yeah.
But Maria and I are both in long-term relationships, and it does require mindful effort. But for me, part of my highlight reel trap was with regard to my career. I'd see people in seemingly high-powered, glamorous roles and think, wow, they've really made it. But then, when I'd actually talk to them, I'd hear about the insane stress, the long hours, the sacrifices that were being made behind the scenes, and what looked like success from the outside had a whole nother layer underneath. And this is where psychology gives us some insight, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, one is that confirmation bias. We tend to look for and interpret information that confirms our existing beliefs. So if we believe someone's life is perfect based on their social media, we'll only notice the things that support that. And, we're only going to look for anything that supports that belief and ignore everything else that suggests that what we believe isn't true. And it keeps us stuck in that surface level perception.
Yes. And, it ties into our brain's efficiency drive, right? It's quicker and easier to make a snap judgment based on what's immediately apparent than to actually take the time and mental energy to dig deeper. It's like our brain is saying, I've seen it, categorized it, and I'm moving on.
Yeah, so we're basically taking mental shortcuts that are leading us to incomplete and often inaccurate understanding of the world and the people in it. And that can lead to a lot of unnecessary headaches and really a lot of miscommunication.
Mm, yeah, absolutely. And another concept is the halo effect, right? If we see one positive trait in someone or something, we tend to assume all their other traits are positive too, without actually looking into it. And that charismatic person at the party, the one, we might assume they're also incredibly kind and trustworthy without any real evidence.
Yeah, no, I definitely have fallen for that one. But and then you see them in mistreating somebody or not being nice to service staff or whatever it is, right? But that's shiny packaging that doesn't always mean quality contents, right?
Absolutely. And so, let's get into the juicy brain stuff. What's actually happening in our amazing brains that make us so prone to sticking to the surface? And, here's the crazy part of it, right? It has to do with our brains, the fact that our brains are wired for attention and efficiency. Our ability to look under the surface really comes down to attentional control. And this involves key areas like the prefrontal cortex, which helps us focus on, and the parietal lobe, which directs our attention to what's important.
Yeah, so it's like we have the spotlight in our brain, but sometimes it's pointed in the wrong direction or it's just scanning too quickly. And developing the ability to really look under the surface is like training those neural networks to override that quick scan in favor of that deeper look. So it's necessary to take that deeper look to get that more analytical look and get under the surface. And you know, when we slow down, we can really start to take a look at it. It takes conscious effort to direct that spotlight and keep it focused. It's like intentionally hitting the pause button on our automatic assumptions.
Yes. And what's often distracting us from this deeper look is our default mode network, our DMN. This network is super active when our minds are wandering and not focused on a specific task. It's where those surface level comparisons and quick judgments often pop up. And when we practice mindfulness, that focused, non judgmental attention, research shows it actually helps quiet down the DMN, making it easier to notice those subtle qualities we'd usually miss. So, mindfulness isn't just about feeling zen, it's actually helping us see things more clearly.
Right. That's just 100%. And here's another layer. Our brains tag things as important or salient based on our past experiences and the emotional significance. So this is where the amygdala, our emotional center, it comes in right here. If we don't consciously look deeper, we risk overreacting to superficial features that trigger an emotional response, and we might miss the real value or the meaning underneath what's happening and what we're seeing. And it can affect everything from how we form relationships to, decisions that we make. And so our emotions can actually blind us to the bigger picture if we're not careful.
Yeah, absolutely. Our brains are designed to make quick assessments for survival, but in our complex modern world, that can often lead us astray. The good news is that when we train ourselves to be more intentional in where we direct our attention, right?
Yeah, yeah. So, Lourdes, how do we actually put our detective hats on and start looking beneath the surface? Let's give everybody some actionable steps that we can take.
Yeah, here's the gentle challenge, right? Practice mindful observation. The next time you're talking to someone, really listen, not just to, their words, but to their tone, their body language. What aren't they saying? And then try to understand their perspective beyond the surface level conversation. So it's about really being present and not just waiting for your turn to talk. I see this a lot actually in my coaching practice, where a client will be sharing something about an experience, and their behavior,
Mhm.
is, it can come across as fidgety, but in looking deeper, I'll see that it's actually, anxiousness.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. That's very important. And then, another thing that we can do is we can really start to question the assumptions. When you have this strong reaction to something or to someone, take a beat and ask yourself, what am I assuming here? Is there another way to look at this, or am I getting the whole picture? So challenge those initial judgments. It's important, especially because, we lived in a really polarized world, and well, we often jump to conclusions about people based on really very little information.
So true. And third, seek diverse perspectives. This is so important. Don't just rely on your own limited viewpoint. Talk to people with different backgrounds and experiences. Read articles from various sources. This helps you see the many layers of an issue or a person or a situation, right? It's like looking at a sculpture from different angles. You get a much more complete understanding.
Yeah, that's such great advice. I mean, and one of the things that we really need to do is start questioning our beliefs. And sometimes I ask our older siblings certain things because I had no idea, and then that shifts how I see things. So, some of the things that you believe, getting the story behind why you believe it is so important. So, get cultivate curiosity and approach the world with a genuine desire to learn more. Ask why. Don't be satisfied with the easy answer. Get deeper in. Get the story behind why you believe something or why you think something is so. I think that childlike curiosity is so powerful. It really keeps us open and it prevents us from becoming cynical or jaded.
Yeah. So, who is this message for? This is for anyone who's ever felt like they're missing something, like they're not really getting people or situations. It's for those prone to snap judgments or stereotyping who want to cultivate more empathy and deeper connections. It's also for professionals in leadership, counseling, or caregiving roles where understanding those subtle cues and complexities can really impact outcomes. And it's also for anyone feeling overwhelmed by modern life's distractions and seeking greater presence and meaning in their everyday experiences.
And let's not forget the perfectionists or high achievers, right? People who can benefit from recognizing the small but significant progress and qualities in themselves and others, and things that they're often overlooking because they're rushing, right? It's even crucial for those recovering from trauma or relationships. It can help develop nuanced self-awareness and richer relationship insights. Basically, it's for anyone who wants to move beyond the surface and experience a richer, more meaningful connection with themselves and the world around them. And so basically, really, it's for all of us, right? It's for all of us to slow down, whether we're the perfectionist, the achiever, caregiver, whatever your circumstances are. It's a message to stop being so judgmental and to really just slow down and dive a little deeper into what's going on potentially behind the scenes.
Yes, absolutely. Agree 100%. So let's take people through a daily habit, right? Here's your 4-point practice for looking under the surface. 1, mindful moment. Today, choose one interaction or situation and consciously try to observe 3 things beyond the obvious. What's the underlying emotion? What's the unspoken need? What's the context that you might be missing? And then do an assumption check. This is really good. Before reacting to something that triggers you, pause and identify one assumption that you might be making and ask yourself, is this definitely true?
Yeah, I love that question. And seek another angle later today. Try to consider a common situation from someone else's perspective, even if you disagree with it. Well, what might their underlying reason be for acting that way? That kind of question. And the curiosity question, before the end of the day, ask why about something you usually take for granted. Do a quick Google search, ask someone, satisfy that curiosity. We really hope that you give this practice a try. It might feel a little strange at first, but you might be surprised at what you discover. Share your under the surface insights in the comments below. We'd really love to hear them.
Yeah. And remember, seeing is not always believing, right? True understanding comes from looking deeper. And on that note, we'll leave you with this powerful quote from the very wise Anais Nin. We don't see things as they are, we see them as we are. So let's all strive to see a little more clearly.
Yeah, definitely. Thanks for being here. We're walking this path with you, alongside you. Take care of your heart, take care of your mind, and take care of yourself. If you found this helpful, support our work by liking, following, and subscribing. And we'll see you next time.